So I open up my computer today, just checking the news, and I see a hashtag trending. And the hashtag, maybe you saw it today, but the trending hashtag is for a new Disney movie called Timmy Failure. Have you seen that yet? So it's about a young boy who's like either pretends or he's a detective, I guess, and he's got a gigantic polar bear who's his companion. Now here's the thing. Timmy Failure it's a Disney movie, and it's going to stream on their new streaming service, so, how great is it to have a Disney movie? This Disney movie is based on a series of very successful kids' books called Timmy Failure, written by Stephan Postis. Stephan Postis has left cartooning, and now he's successful in movies. All of this happened because Jack Cassidy did one small act of kindness in 1988. That caused me to succeed. It caused me to write How to Fail at Almost Everything. It caused me to help Stephan Postis because the curse. He cursed me. I had to help him. Has Stephan Postis helped other cartoonists? Yes, because he has the curse. He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice. I cursed him the way Jack Cassidy cursed me. All right, I promised you I would tell you a inspirational story. Are you ready? A little Saturday inspirational story. There's a quote of mine from one of my books or someplace. I don't know where it came from. But there's a quote of mine that's become semi-famous, and it's something I said decades ago, but it still gets passed around the internet every now and then. And the quote was that there's no such thing as a small act of kindness, because every action has a ripple effect to infinity. And I wanted to tell you a story about a small act of kindness that had a ripple effect that is fun to watch. All right? The first part, some of you have heard. In 1988, before I was a cartoonist, but I knew I wanted to be one, I sent a letter to a cartoonist who had a special on TV about how to be a cartoonist. His name is Jack Cassidy, and I asked him for advice. I had not drawn any comics professionally. I just wanted to know how to get into business. And his first act of kindness, there was nothing in it for him. There was nothing to be gained by him answering my letter, but he did. He wrote a 2-page handwritten letter. He told me what materials to buy. He told me what book to look at to know where to send my samples, etc. So I got the book, followed the directions, did what he said, sent out some comics to the big magazines that publish comics or cartoons, and I got rejected by everybody. And I put my materials away, and I thought, well, at least I tried. And I just forgot about it. A year later, I got a letter from Jack Cassidy. A year later. I hadn't even thanked him for his first letter. So we'd had no communication in that time. And I go to my mailbox, and weirdly, there's a letter from Jack Cassidy again, a follow-up letter. And he said that he was cleaning his office, and he found my original letter to him from a year ago. And he said that he was just writing to make sure that I hadn't given up. That's it. There was nothing else in the letter. He only wrote to make sure that I hadn't given up. Now, in his first letter, he told me I would get a lot of cancellations or a lot of rejections, and he told me don't give up. So his first letter said don't give up, and then I gave up. His second letter said I just making sure you didn't give up. So I got my materials out of the closet and put together some sample cartoons. They were roughly based on my experience in the workplace, and that cartoon was called Dilbert. And I submitted it, and the rest you know. So that small act of kindness in 1988 created $1 billion of total activity. That's not the part I earned or anything close to that, But it's, if you look at all the publishing, all the effects that Dilbert's had, the secondary effects and third effects, etc. One letter that took him probably 15 minutes, put a stamp on it, tiny, tiny act of kindness, caused $1 billion, changed my life. Now, most of you have seen that certainly at this part of my life, and by the way, I am currently at, I think, approximately the age that Jack Cassidy was when he gave me his advice. Jack Cassidy, by the way, is a veteran. I think it was, I'm not sure which war he was in, but he's a veteran, so he has a history of service. Now, the thing that I don't tell people is that while he made my career, his small act of kindness, no, it's not Jack Cassidy, the actor. It is Jack Cassidy, a cartoonist. Somebody you probably have never seen his work. He wasn't famous as a cartoonist. So here's the thing. Even though he changed my life and he's in some ways responsible for everything good that ever happened to me after that point, he also cursed me. It came with a curse. And the curse goes like this. I have to help other people. I have to. I could try not to, but it doesn't work because of the curse. So throughout my life, I've tried to help other people when the situation made sense. Obviously, I can't help everybody. I can't even help everybody who asks for it. But I can pick my shots. So I wrote my book, How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. And that was primarily to be helpful. And I hear every day about people who've changed their lives and lost weight and people who've gotten off of drugs because of that book. Just amazing things. This all came from this one letter in 1988. But it's better. After Dilbert became successful, and then this is going back to, I think, the mid-90s or so, the syndication company that handled Dilbert was introducing new comics regularly. And of course, most new comics don't do well, and they just sort of, they make a small splash and then they die. So probably 19 out of 20 new comics don't go anywhere. And there was this new comic called Pearls Before Swine. And the syndication company looked at it and they decided, well, it's not good enough to put in newspapers. But we have this new website that has, good comics, but also lesser comics. We just have lots of comics there. So they said, well, we'll put it on the website. They put it on the website. It didn't make much of a difference. Not many people noticed it. But I saw it. And I saw it and I thought, there's something about this comic that's not like the other ones. There just isn't. This one's special. And even though it wasn't fully formed, there was something special about it. I could see it in the writing. There was some intelligence that came through the writing that you don't often see. So at the time I had this newsletter that I was sending out that had just tons and tons of people read it. And so I called out that comic and I said, this is great, and gave a link to it so people could go see it. It almost immediately, and entirely just because I recommended it to my readers, it became the second most trafficked comic on the website. Now, because it became the second most trafficked of all their comics, they had to rethink it, the syndication company. And they looked at it and said, with all this attention, maybe we missed something. So let's give it a run and see if it works in newspapers. And it did. It's one of the top cartoons in the country right now. So Stefan Postis is the author of the comic. And the other part of the story is that he has an amazing talent stack, which he continues to build. He was an attorney before he became a cartoonist, so he had that talent. And he met with me, thanked me, and picked my brain about technique and how to be a cartoonist. And he's the only person I know who's asked me for cartooning advice and then took it. You can't imagine how many people have asked me for advice, and lots of times I give it. I would say, The total number of cartoonists I've given direct cartooning advice to, it's in the hundreds. Hundreds? I don't know, several hundred over my career. But as far as I know, and I haven't surveyed each one of them, as far as I know, he's the only one. He took my advice, he incorporated it, and his comic became one of the hottest sellers. But that's not the best part. So I opened up my computer today, just checking the news, and I see a hashtag trending. And the hashtag, maybe you saw it today, but the trending hashtag is for a new Disney movie called Timmy Failure. Have you seen that yet? So it's about a young boy who's like either pretends or he's a detective, I guess, and he's got a gigantic polar bear who's his companion. Now here's the thing. Timmy Failure it's a Disney movie, and it's going to stream on their new streaming service, so, how great is it to have a Disney movie? This Disney movie is based on a series of very successful kids' books called Timmy Failure, written by Stephan Postis. Stephan Postis has left cartooning, and now he's successful in movies. All of this happened because Jack Cassidy did one small act of kindness in 1988. That caused me to succeed. It caused me to write How to Fail at Almost Everything. It caused me to help Stephan Postis because the curse. He cursed me. I had to help him. Has Stephan Postis helped other cartoonists? Yes, because he has the curse. He doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice. I cursed him the way Jack Cassidy cursed me.